guys, today on Watch with Poppy, we are talking one of my favorite shows on TV, ABC's Scandal. This is season 2, episode number 10, One for the Dog. Okay, so we're back from winter hiatus, finally. And it's time for a new episode of Scandal, and I'm so excited, you guys, so let's get right to it. Obviously, at the end of the last episode, the government came to get Huck because they think he's the one that tried to kill the president. So when the episode opens, basically, Huck is not doing so well. He's getting tortured, waterboarded, and they're just beating the crap out of him. And David is there, along with some other government guys that we're not sure exactly who they are. And right off the bat, you get that David is not really excited about what's happening here. One of my favorite bits of the episode is when David basically turns to them and says, hey, the United States of America is in the room with you, so get it together. Of course, they didn't listen to him, though, and they keep torturing Huck because they're trying to get information out of him. Not realizing, of course, that, Huck is super spy. He's not going to tell them anything until he's ready to tell them something. Not that he has anything to tell them at this point. So then we go back to Olivia's office, and next thing you know, there's a meeting of our secret society. So that would mean Verna, Olivia, Cyrus, and Melly are all getting together. Basically because Verna's like, look, I'm the one who told Sally about Huck, and I really think that Hollis is the one who tried to kill the president, and here's what here's my evidence that I have. Something about some cell phone that he had. And so Olivia sends, her team off to go get the cell phone, and of course they do that, because they're awesome. So, we get the cell phone, and there's a number that the cell phone's been calling a lot, but Olivia's like, we're not going to call that number yet, because obviously whoever it is, we don't want to kind of spook them. So then, Olivia goes home for something, I don't remember why, and stupid Edison is there, and I just want to, ugh. That's my Edison face. That's the face that I make when Edison comes on the screen, because A, he is Dr. Huxtable, and B, he annoys me, and C, I am ready for him to be gone. So Edison is there, and then somebody rings the doorbell. So they go to get the doorbell, and it's this military guy. So it's a letter that he gets delivered by the military, and it's signed by the president, which would mean that the president was awake. So she rushes to the hospital, all excited, thinking he's awake. She gets there, and he's not. So it turns out that Melly, the genius that she is, decides to forge Fitz's signature. Basically wanting to take back power from Sally, because she knows that Sally is basically pretending like she is president for real and will be forever. And so Melly decides, we're gonna cut that out, basically. So she forges the signature, which is a huge no-no. Olivia tells her, that's a federal crime, it's treason, you're gonna go to jail forever. And so then they basically hatch this plot to make it seem like Fitz is awake. So they, do these press conferences, they leak all this kind of, information to say that Fitz is awake, but that he's, still recovering, and that he will, appear before the American people as soon as he can. But right off the bat, Sally, the vice president, is just like, I know that he is not awake, and that you guys are trying to pull the wool over my eye, basically. So a flashback to David, the eternal white hat, who has gone back to, kind of check on Huck. And, Huck is still getting beat to death, basically. And at one point, I can't remember what spurs it, but Huck finally says, look, I'll talk. So everybody comes into the room where Huck is at, and they're videotaping it. But David is there, and the other kind of government guys, who are kind of we don't know exactly who they are there, and Huck starts to ask, is the president still alive? And they're like, look, we're not, you're not asking the questions, we are. And he's like, no, just tell me that first, and I'll answer what you want me to answer. And so David says, yes, he's alive. And that's when Huck is like, look, he's not safe. She is not going to let him live. You need to make sure that you protect the president. So they're, of course, not happy, because they thought, I don't know, that he was going to confess. And so they continue beating the crap out of him. And David leaves to go to see Olivia and basically tells her, look, I know where Huck is at. This is what he said. You get that he wants to do something to try to get Huck out of where he's at, because he doesn't agree with what's going on. Next, we go back to the White House, and we get this little meeting that happens between Cyrus, Melly, and Olivia, because they want to move the president to Camp David. So they want to release this press announcement saying that Melly's kind of like, why would we do that? And they tell her, like, look, this is a better way for us to kind of keep a handle on who comes to visit him, because obviously we've told the world that he's awake when he's not really. Then there's this really kind of interesting conversation that happens between Mellie and Olivia, you know, as Olivia tries to leave. Mellie tries to get all like, I don't know, like slumber party girlfriend with her. It was really weird. Like, she says something to Olivia at first, kind of like, how are you? And you're thinking like, okay, Olivia's kind of like, I'm good, like, how are you? It's like she wants somebody to talk to, and obviously, like, Olivia is the only other person in the world who really understands what Mellie is feeling at this moment, because Mellie does love Fitz, even if she's crazy, and she knows that Olivia loves Fitz. So it was really weird, as she kind of fished for that whole kind of like, what are we gonna do without him? Have you thought of that? Have you thought of what you would do if he doesn't wake up? And Olivia kind of cut that off, like, with the quickness. It was just pretty much like, look, you stay positive, get it together, we don't have time for this, and then she left. But it was just a strange kind of conversation. So Olivia goes to see Sally, the acting president, and they try to hassle her a little bit at first, but of course she gets in because she's Olivia Pope, and there's nothing she can't do, basically. So she gets in to see Sally, and tells Sally, look, you're holding the wrong guy. You need to let him go because he will find the person who actually shot the president and killed those other people. And of course Sally is just like, why should I listen to you? And you guys are lying about the president being awake, and you know, I'm not letting this guy go. And so finally Olivia is like, because they're not alone in the room, Olivia tells her, like, look, you've got your advisors here, why don't you listen to them? So she's got these like guys that are obviously like spy guys, right? And they have Huck's folder. And the guy basically tells her, like, look, this guy was the best in his class of spies or whatever. You know, so Sally's just kind of like, okay, whatever, give me his file. And they're like, read page number 3 or whatever. She reads the page, and the look on her face when she was done, I was just like, I want to read the page because I want to know what it said. Because obviously after she read the page, she was just like, okay, we're gonna let him go. So I guess the point is, like, this guy is so good, there's no way that he did this. Like, he would never have left anyone alive, basically. So they release Huck. Once he's free, he goes off to find Becky. So Olivia heads to the hospital, right? Where it is just going down, basically. So she stumbles across this scene where basically Harrison is stopping Edison from trying to see the president. So Edison has come to the hospital because he wants to see the president and speak with him, and Harrison is like standing guard, basically like, no, you can't get in here. And until Olivia gets here. When Olivia gets here, you can talk to her. So then Olivia walks in, of course, and it's just like, what are you doing? You can't see the president right now. And Edison is like, look, Sally Langston is going around kind of whispering to people, telling them that the president's not awake for real. I want to see him. I'm the leader of the Senate. He kept throwing that around, right? And just full on annoying me because that's what he does. That is what he does. And finally, you know, Olivia keeps telling him, no, you gotta go, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, just the best part was when she just says to him, goodbye, Edison. And I just really want to say that at that moment, I so much wanted that goodbye to have like layered meanings. That it wasn't just goodbye for today because you cannot see the president, but that it would be goodbye for good. Go get your crap out of my apartment and I don't want to see you again. Please, please let it be the latter. So all episode, basically, even when she sees him in the hospital, Olivia really has kind of been avoiding Fitz. Like, there was one scene where you see her there and you see her kind of reach down to touch his hand, but she just doesn't. Like, I don't know if she's just kind of like, no, like, I can't freak out right now, so I'm not even going to touch your hand. But, you know, she's at the hospital now. Once she gets rid of Edison, hopefully for good, she goes in to see Fitz, and she's by herself with him. And she basically just climbs into bed with him and just lays there with him. And it was just like, you know, they were playing their music in the background, and that should just tell you how much I've watched Scandal. Because when their music starts playing, you know that we're about to have an Olivia and Fitz moment. And the music started playing, and it was like that 1 minute music. And for you gladiators out there, you know what I mean when I say a 1 minute moment. So it was like we were having a 1 minute moment with them, just kind of, you know, him unconscious and her just crawling into bed with him. And it was just sad and just like, come on, Fitz. So they have their moment. Meanwhile, Psycho Becky gets a phone call from somebody telling her, like, this is what's happening, the president's getting moved, and she basically says, okay, I'll be ready. So she gets her gun, she goes to the hospital, she gets, like, her little assassin nest all ready, and gets ready to kill the president, basically. Like, she's going to take care of him as they transfer him to, you know, to Camp David. But of course, in the end, what we find out is that it was all a setup to catch her. And her phone rings as she's, you know, there with her gun. And she picks up the phone and you just hear this, "Hi, Becky." And you can hear the echo of it, so you know that whoever's calling her is really close to her. And she turns around and there is Huck standing there. So then all of the federal agents come in and start to cuff both of them, basically. And in the end, they take Huck back to Olivia and release him to her custody, basically. Okay, the end of the episode was awesome, so let's talk about that. First of all, too, Cyrus's husband and Quinn, two people that just can't catch a break. So Cyrus is at home with his husband and they're talking, and he comes clean and he tells him, "Look, the president is not awake. And I don't know what we're going to do." You know, you just get, he's really sad. And his husband's trying to console him. And they're talking about the baby. And the husband is just pretty much like, "Look, I quit my job." And the two of them are just sitting there sad. And Cyrus tells him, "Okay, let's go get our baby." So they get up to go get the baby. And then Cyrus's cell phone rings. And then you see the camera just like pan away, basically. Then next we flashed into Olivia's office. Quinn walks in and is basically like, "Look, I don't understand why Hollis Doyle isn't going to jail at this moment. We know that he is the one that tried to assassinate the president, but we also know that he's the one who blew up the building where my boyfriend was at. So I want you to tell me what really happened." And so Olivia finally is just like, "Okay, like, I'll tell you what you want to know. Like, come in and sit down and I'll tell you." And then her phone rings, and it's Cyrus. You can see that on the thing. So it's like, yeah, pretty much Cyrus's husband and poor Quinn, they just are not going to get what they want in this moment because of what is happening. Olivia picks up her phone, and it's Cyrus. And Cyrus says to her, "I've got somebody here who wants to say something to you." And you see him put the phone to Fitz's ear, and you hear Fitz say hi. And then you hear Olivia say hi. And it was just beautiful. So overall, I thought it was a really good episode. A great way for them to come back from the winter hiatus. Next week looks fantastic. The preview looked great. You have Edison finally asking Olivia, "Did you have an affair with the president?" Woo, that's a big question. And it looks like obviously Sally's gonna, you know, be doing a little power struggle because is Fitz really ready to come back? And you know, there's a lot of question about that going on. Is he strong enough? So we'll be seeing that. So there's lots of good stuff to come for Scandal, I do believe. So I will be excited to see it. Thanks so much for watching this episode, you guys. I do reviews and recaps of every episode of Scandal, so make sure you check that out again next week. And I do reviews and recaps of lots of other TV shows because I kind of have a TV show watching problem in that I watch a lot of TV. And yeah, I just do. So this is, I guess, my confession about that. I mean, I even watch TV in other languages, so there you go. So all throughout the week, I'm posting different reviews and recaps of different TV shows, so make sure you guys check those out. Subscribe, and you will get all of that goodness in your inbox. What more could you ask for? Nothing. Maybe some chocolate. See you guys later. Bye.